It's gonna go there.
Do you want to put it up? Is it out or is it okay?
No, that's perfect.
Okay. All right. So just so I'm clear, so you're going to ask me questions. Are you guys going to share questions?
I think I'll.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. So our first question is, how would you define a profession, and why does nursing fall under that category?
I think part of being a profession is belonging to an association. So I think that's an important part of nursing as a profession because we belong to a regulating body. So we have a code of ethics that kind of drives our practice, and we have standards of practice that kind of guide our practice. And then part of the association job is to regulate our practice. So for example, they have committees that review complaints or put forward. There is a review process, and that we have to pay our fees to be a member, so to be part of the professional association. And we also have legal protection. I can't think of the exact name, but we also have legal protection that's provided to us, like through the association.
The next one is respond to somebody who isn't a nurse when they say that nursing isn't a profession.
I think that's an interesting question. I think that because we're part of a union, some people would argue that being part of a union is maybe something that professionals don't do. So, for example, my husband's an engineer, and he is part of a professional engineering association, but he would argue that he would never be part of a union. So I think it's a difference between being members of a union. That's what I think from kind of a higher level when you just kind of look down on it all. Maybe the confusion arises when you're part of a union.
Okay. And what does professionalism mean to you?
I think professionalism is kind of like the Venn diagram, and there's all those circles and they're overlapping. There's professionalism kind of in the inside. So I think you have to think about for example, at a really basic level, your appearance. So are you presenting yourself in a professional way to others? So do you look professional? So I think having guiding principles like NANB puts forward for us, I think that those then, so we're following a set of standards that are available to us, and we have to practice to a certain level, and then we have to pass an exam to practice at that level. So I think there's that aspect of kind of accountability to in the diagram. What was the question again? I'm getting off topic.
Just professionalism mean to you?
Mean to me. I think a big part of it is how you treat others in terms of communication, how you communicate with others. I think that's a big part of professionalism. I also think in terms of representing yourself, so not only demonstrating professionalism at work, but I think, in the true sense of professionalism, I think to some degree, you always have to be aware that you are representing nurses as a profession as a whole, so you have to probably be mindful of your behaviors in that side of work, because your behaviors reflect then back out on the profession as a whole.
What are some common stereotypes surrounding nurses in the profession?
Oh, I think since Halloween just passed, I think that there is I think there is the kind of old stereotype, I guess, that goes with nursing in terms of being promiscuous. I also think there's also the old school nursing theory of nurses wearing the white and the cap and being very stringent on everything, very particular, but then also being kind of submissive to the physicians and maybe at a different hierarchy than the physicians. But I realize there's a hierarchy, but I think that we all try to now work as a collaborative team, which is different. So I think that there's those kind of perceptions out there, about nursing. I think there's the whole female, that all women, so that a nurse is a female person as opposed to a nurse being a male. Mm-hmm. I think that perception.
Just to build on that question, have you seen the shows Rubbing In?
No.
You haven't? Okay. It's pretty bad.
No.
It's premise is that there's these in Florida. They're flight nurses. 2 of them can't do training because they got DUIs. And they go out to bars and party in their scrubs after work. They're one of them was nurses sleep with doctors and doctors sleep with nurses, and that's just what it is. So, what do you think about that show portraying nurses? How do you think that affects us even more now?
I think all those things feed into the perception of nursing. Like, so for nurses being promiscuous and there being kind of like a hierarchy in there in terms of, nursing not being, I don't think it portrays nursing as professionals. If you're out in your scrubs, that does not demonstrate, drinking and boozing, that does not demonstrate, professionalism at all. So I think that's not, that doesn't do anything to help us out. I'm sure it might be entertaining and funny, but,
for nursing students, it's very entertaining.
I think it really kind of plays into all their negative perceptions that are, out there about nurses. Mostly kind of the promiscuous, dumb nurse kind of thing that's out there, which most of us aren't.
Okay, so how should nurses react to people who put down the professions of things them saying they're lazy, don't need a lot of training, it's not that difficult?
You're smart,
yeah.
Be the doctor.
I think that the best way to approach it is with professionalism. So in terms of not getting your fired up and not approaching it, in an aggressive or assertive way. So, I know that there's, perhaps if someone said, we're still lazy, but the nurses do have a lot of computer work that has to be done. So you might walk in and think that they're being lazy because they're sitting at the desk, but you be shocked with the amount of paperwork that, and computer work the nurse has to do in a day. So I think that the best thing to do, and I know oftentimes when I have been in personal situations where I've been challenged, that sometimes I haven't even really been able to say anything because I thought that I was probably going to come off as really defensive. And so in that instance, I choose not to say anything at all, and then kind of come home and reflect on it and say, okay, when this happens to me again, how can I respond? Because I know that, say, responding, actually probably doesn't help matters anyway. It brings up everyone's defenses. But I think, stepping back and being professional and kind of putting a different light on it, because it might be that they walked in, saw a nurse sitting at a computer having their breakfast, but I can tell you that I didn't have breakfast today, and I ate my breakfast at my desk in front of a computer.
And like the only time that
right. So, someone walking by might be wondering, like, yeah, like she's eating that, I'm eating that, I'm at a desk, and all I do is sit here in, my office. So, but oftentimes you see things like that. It's really a reflection of us just really being really busy and trying to squeeze in too much into one day. Yeah. So I think if you respond appropriately, and you can also ask the person to kind of elaborate, maybe.
Why do you
tell me
think
about that. Why would you? Why do you think I'm smart enough to go to med school? My brother was a doctor, so that often came from my house. So how come you didn't go to med school too? Didn't you want to be a doctor? And so I had absolutely no interest in having that level of responsibility, because they have a completely different level of responsibility than we do. And just having that level of responsibility, and I also wanted to have more flexibility in terms of being at home with my kids and not having to do call and things like that. Wasn't something that I really wanted.
And what are some ways to educate the public about who nurses really are?
I think that the association's been doing a lot of that right now, and I know that your mom's been here and she's been wearing her black pants and her white top. So I think that there's ways that we can educate the public through the in terms of what we do, and I think in terms of making us more visible. I think that that's a really good initiative in terms of making us more visible, so that the patients are able to see perhaps the differences between all the different healthcare providers. So I think that that's been, although the initiative hasn't taken off, was a great success. I think that that's been that's been a good change. I think having name tags, I think introducing yourself, I think back to the real basic easy stuff like coming in yourself to your patients and saying that, you're their registered nurse. I think that's some quick things that we can